Hi, it's Russell Pearson. There was a few people who were interested in my setup, so I thought I'd do a quick video just showing behind the scenes in my studio and what I do pretty much every day, probably about 6 hours a day, working inside this studio. So I've got this cool little app called Double Take. Thanks Kim Sealing-Smith for that one. And I'll be able to show you the two screens. But before I do, let me just come up here. We've got a few books up here. Look, I've read all these. I've got all sorts of other books in the house. And this is my garage, just so you're 100% across that. So I'm working out of my garage, specifically during lockdown, but I did start the setup of this beforehand. I just was working inside, but I moved out to the garage during lockdown because it gave me more space and allowed me to do more things. Now, yeah, these books are just good reminders because some of the things in these books are more about getting specific things done and the way you think about actually doing those things. They're good reminders, more for me than anyone else. My Rubik's Cube. There's my Crimson Fox up the top there. So the Crimson Fox is my old marketing company, and you can see there's a little reminder for me on the Fox. Now I'm going to spin this camera around and we're going to get a shot of the full layout. So this is pretty much where I work each day. So this is a little setup I created myself. I'm not much of a woodworker, but a little bit of help with from Warwick Merry, and I was on the right track. So yeah, I've got this frame, and the frame basically holds everything from some lights and things like hooks and the table and all the stuff that goes with it. So it's a bit rough and ready, and it's a little bit messy at the moment. You know, there's the coffees that I've been having, and there's just some of the things that I have around me that are useful, and a little whiteboard that I can use for my own references. I love the way this light just keeps coming into my chin. So we got to survive. There's another television. So basically what I do is I work off that MacBook Pro. That's pretty much how this thing runs. And just so you know, in the background, that's the actual workshop where I do a lot of the either woodwork or metal work. So I'll actually show you the Anvil in a minute, which is out that door. But I've got the MacBook Pro, and we've got just a television that I've plugged in. And, you know, there's the adapters that do a lot of the work for me. And I've got it plugged into there so I can use that for notes or second screens, things of that nature. I've got a Stream Deck, but I don't really use it. The good things I've got are the Logitech camera, which is fantastic up the top here. I've got the Samson Mic, which is awesome as well. Now this thing I just made myself out of a sewing hoop or whatever it's called. You guys could probably tell me exactly what that's called, but it's a thing that I just put together from a YouTube video. If you're not, actually let me flip back it. If you're thinking of doing any of this stuff and you're not looking at YouTube as your prime resource for information, then I would advise you to do that, because there are so many great ways to do that. Now, actually, flipping around, these lights were full-on professional lights, but during lockdown, they got broken in a couple of different ways, and so I've just literally crafted something that's going to be fine for now, and then once we're out of lockdown, I'll go to the shop and we'll get something a bit nicer. I just want to see it tangibly, and rather than just order it online. Just a little funny thing, I've been using toilet paper to wipe this board because A, it's cheap, and it's funny because it's topical. So let me come around. I'm going to go put that there and we'll walk this way. Now what I need to do a lot of the time is turn the lights off, because if I turn these lights on, see there's a garage door, if I turn these lights on, then what ends up happening is that it floods I'll flip this around. So over here in the studio, I need that light to shine up, and I can't do that with the other lights in this room on. Now it's going to be interesting to see what happens when we open this door, because it might flood us with too much light, but we'll see what happens. It's a bit of a windy day outside. Now, yeah, this is just a little alcove, and then, goes around the back. A little bit of back side to go. But there's an anvil. Now, I don't know if you know, but I made this anvil myself, so it's not really much of an anvil, but that's where I do a lot of my blacksmithing, and I made this forge myself, which that's coke, which is a type of coal, which I use to heat up the steel to about 2,000 degrees. So I've got let me just flip this around a bit. I've got what am I trying to say? A hairdryer. Hairdryer is what I use, and I actually use the hairdryer over here. Hairdryer goes in the pipe, pushes air up, and actually forces the air through the container. So, well, not the container, through the forge. So that's what that's all about. And I will just shut this door, close up. This is just a rental, so I can't do a lot with the place. I can't really pull it apart and do all sorts of things. So I've got to sort of be gentle in the way that I'm managing things. But yeah, you get the sense. Like, this is what it's all about. it's as basic as this. I'm using YouTube to do a lot of the research on things I'm doing. I don't think I've talked about it. There's a Stream Deck. I barely even use the Stream Deck. I've got some additional little things that I can use. So if I want to put the camera into this tripod, I do that. There's another tripod there. But yeah, this is where I do a lot of my work. So 6 hours of work in here, but more so my fun work, my hobby work over in the workshop there. And you know, I've got tools behind me. So there's a drill press. You know, so it's all just in here. And so I just wanted to show you that no matter where you are, if you can craft out a little space for yourself, you can actually get this stuff done, because I'm going literally global on a weekly basis to all sorts of places around the world. One day I did Africa and Prague and the US and Australia all in the one day, and it wasn't just in Australia, my local town, but it was actually in New South Wales because I'm in Melbourne. So without having to travel at all, I was able to do those 4 different locations, and yeah, you make money out of it, you get work out of it, you enjoy the work if this is the sort of work that you enjoy. So this is what you can be doing remotely if you like. It's just a little insight into what I do day to day, and I hope you found it valuable. Leave comments in the comments below and I'll answer any questions you might have. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.